Zach LaVine, Brandon Ingram, Cam Johnson. Oh my. Apparently it's trade season here in Denver. We'll talk about it. This is the DNVR Nuggets Show.
Awkward silence.
It's been some time, fellas, since it's been this time.
There's music playing for us.
Oh, just an awkward silence for us.
Yes.
That's right.
Gotcha.
What's up, everyone, and welcome in to the DNVR Show.
Let's go. Let's go.
Hanging out here in Studio B. And this show, of course, is presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code DNVR365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I tell you about the Toyota Winners Lounge, but we're not in it today. We're in the B Lounge again. A little less cold, though, fellas, or maybe we're just more prepared for it.
Well, I think it's the hot stove season for the...
No.
We need a hot stove in here.
Yeah,
we do need a hot stove. I do... The greatest part about baseball, very little, but the greatest part about baseball is just the litany of
The hot
colloquialisms that they have, because they have to spend 1 million hours a year just filling time. So like everything, it's the hot stove, and they're raking. And like if you listen after not watching it for a long time, you're like, it's just a nonstop dumb phrase after dumb phrase.
And you got to keep up with the.
They're like, they're trying to put a crooked number up.
Crooked number's a good one. Yeah.
So true. It is the ultimate columnist sport. Okay. This, of course, is a basketball show, more specifically a Denver Nuggets show. And fellas, there is a lot of news or rumors or reports out there that we are going to cover in today's show. We'll start with a little bit of lighter news. And that is that, of course, Jokic and his new Joker ones, fresh on the scene, have a new ad, a new companion ad for the release of the shoes. We're not going to run it, of course, on our YouTube show because we can't. But you can find it right now at DNVR Nuggets. It's the new commercial for Nikola Jokic's Joker 1 shoe with 361. And it's shot at, fellas,
the Fortress. Wait, why can't we play this?
I don't know.
Maybe we could have. I just kind of assumed it would have been
a commercial.
Like, well, it's not our. Well, that's a good point.
Like they want everyone to see this.
We're doing them a favor.
Yeah,
probably could have.
I'll find it.
Okay, we tweeted it.
If you haven't seen this commercial for the new Joker ones, first of all, I feel like 361 has done a pretty cool job with the rollout of this shoe. It's obviously not at the scale of what you would get with a Nike or an Adidas, but I feel like it kind of fits Jokic. You know, you have the launch party at Ball Arena, then you have a couple drops, that commercial they put out a week ago with him at the poker table, and then this one, which is pretty cool.
Where you come from doesn't define who you are. Get ready to disrupt.
At the Fortress in Belgrade.
Maybe you're not biggest, but you can take all the challenges. Maybe you're not the fastest.
It just kind of fits him.
You can take over the game. Maybe you're at the beginning, but you will perform under the brightest light.
This hilarious 361 jersey.
Maybe you're someone like me, an underdog from a small town, but you can be whatever you want. Disrupt all the finishers, just like Joker 1. The Joker 1. Disrupt the game.
Cool.
There you go. Shot there at the Belgrade Fortress, which of course we got to see ourselves, fellas. Put 2 feet on the ground over there. Pretty cool. I like it because I think there's I don't want to say low budget. There's like a humility to it. It's like a very small. It's Jokic, right? It's because we I think gave New Balance a lot of credit for I think playing the right angles for Kawhi's personality, whatever it is or lack thereof. And I think the Jokic angle just of who he is, where he's from, the unlikelihood of this, but most importantly, that it's just different, right? Than most of what we've seen, in terms of his greatness, his path to greatness, his public profile. So I thought this was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great, man. It really is. I mean, it's smart marketing to make your product, especially a product that you're making for an athlete, really feel like them, to really flesh out the rest of the story around it and like really bring it home. Because, you know, you're talking about the shoe game, which is one of the most political, but also high dollar, glossy, fashion sort of elements.
Yes.
It's also the only piece of equipment that players have in basketball. And so there's like obviously there's a lot that goes into each shoe. And like, typically speaking, yeah, like when Adidas rolls out the new Anthony Edwards shoe, it's like a lot, it feels like him. This feels like Jokic.
Yeah.
And you know, that is the greatest part about an upstart company like 361 that's looking to get a foothold in a larger global marketplace. They really recognize how special Jokic is, and they put the requisite effort and money and thought into it. It's beautiful. Like Nike wouldn't do it. He'd get they would do like a Jokic version of like a Booker shoe or something,
right.
You know?
Yeah, Jokic colorway.
A Jokic Kobe whatever. So it's great. He deserves it. And also, I got a pair of these shoes in Belgrade.
Oh, you did?
Yes. It's been secured for me. I can't wait.
No, that's very exciting. You with your
just
Belgrade
leveraging the connections
yeah.
overseas.
Hell yeah, dude.
Unbelievable.
So now we have 2 Joker 1 shoes in the company because
Yeah,
RG has a pair also. What color did you get? The black and white?
Black and white. They have to be, I mean, you have to be put on a wait list currently in the U.S. to get them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that rollout's going to look like, but it does obviously take quite a bit of time to get these all produced in such a way. So,
dude, it's so funny because he was with Nike forever. And Nike never really did anything for him. The only thing I can remember is just the No Joke campaign when he won. What was that? His first
cool.
MVP?
yes.
Like, oh, great.
That wasn't a campaign though. It was like the one.
It was
ad,
like one logo.
one logo, and they didn't. To my knowledge, they did not make that Joker logo. Like that, I believe, was made in Sombor at KK Joker. It was it was everywhere around there. That was their logo that Nike just was like, yeah, you can put it on this or whatever.
So they put pretty much zero effort into it.
Yeah.
While he was with Nike, and I mean, my feeling was that it was partly that because they just didn't really think it was worth marketing him.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
And because of that, they didn't put much effort into how to market him, and they probably thought we can't market him. And I think 361 is doing exactly like the correct job of marketing him.
Yeah.
Filming a commercial in Serbia in like a historic place in Belgrade. The content of the commercial talking about his unlikely rise, like you can do anything. That's the messaging that should be behind Nikola Jokic. And the fact that like Nike was oblivious to that is kind of crazy. And also just the international angle.
Right.
Like, yeah, maybe the shoe won't do as well here. And maybe that's another reason why Nike just turned a blind eye to him, because they were more focused on domestic stuff. But internationally is a whole nother angle as well.
Couldn't agree more. And that's a big part of the Jokic story as well, right? That basketball actually is not just an American cultural
He just
export.
has such a cool brand.
Yeah.
His brand is so awesome, and his story is so incredible that it really blows my mind that a company like Nike couldn't see the vision. But now I'm happy they didn't, because I think the stuff that 361 is doing is really cool.
As much as I want one, there is something almost fitting about the way that it's kind of hard to get in America. I can't explain it, but yeah, I mean, the audience for this stuff is larger than just the domestic one. And that is also, of course, a big part of Jokic's story. So
I wish 361 would send us some so we could all do the show in Joker ones.
please, 361.
I'm sure you're all watching it in
yeah,
China.
Exactly. With bated breath waiting for that shout out.
Well, as 361, they know us. They know DNVR.
Is that right? Okay, cool.
They do.
As we discuss what Jokic deserves, fellas, there is a larger conversation in play today in Nuggets land, which is, does Jokic deserve more help? Does Jokic deserve a dynamic scorer? And I chose those last words carefully because, okay, let's pull up that tweet, if you've got it, my friend, from Sam Amick. A joint reporting here with Tony Jones, of course, covering the Nuggets, among other teams, for The Athletic. And here we go. The Denver Nuggets are searching for a dynamic scorer to help Nikola Jokic. More intel here on how the Bulls' Zach LaVine is front and center in their pursuit with others as well. We will get into the others in a second here, guys, but we can start with LaVine because we know that when it comes to LaVine, the easiest way to do this financially would be to trade Michael Porter Jr. And there are some media on the Chicago side of things that are reporting that it is in fact Porter would be the expected target. KCJ Hoop has that scoop if a deal gets done. So we are talking about a potential Michael Porter Jr. deal for Zach LaVine first and foremost. Harrison Wind, what are your initial thoughts to that report and that very notion?
Well, let's start with the timing of it. The timing seems interesting to me because the Nuggets are on a 3-game winning streak right now. You know, they just had this great win over Sacramento on the road. They just blew out the Clippers. The vibes seem like they're getting restored. It seems like a weird time for a trade report like this that's so pointed and direct and specific to come out. And that leads me to say, like, the thing with these trade reports, and when these do get out, it's typically old news. It's like when you talk to people with teams and you're like, oh, did you see that trade rumor that you guys were mentioned in? They're usually like, oh yeah, we were talking about that 2 weeks ago. Or like, yeah, like last month we might have like had a discussion or something. So my gut reaction is I think they've probably talked about Zach LaVine. And I'm guessing those talks were, you know, before this recent win streak and, you know, before the vibe started to come up again from, you know, where they were a few weeks ago. So I'm sure it's something they've talked about, and Zach LaVine would be great in Denver. I'll say that.
Yeah, I get the sense that they were, I mean, the whole entire world, us included, were trying to figure out trade packages for MPJ 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was just echoes of that, because I did sense a pretty seismic shift in the vibes after a, you know, and sadly much needed break in the first quarter of the season. And it kind of makes me feel like they should do that. They should have like a early season break, a all-star break, and that like there's something
with the NBA Cup cemented in the schedule, maybe that's what we're gonna get.
Yeah, and it like makes sense to just punt on the cup and just get a week off and like actually get to
like 2 weeks off almost.
Yeah, like actually get to practice, like
one
actually
game in a week
sort
and
of
a half.
like rediscover, because it's hard, man, when like when things are going well with people and you're not even addressing it, you're just working ahead and like you grumble and this and that, and it's like, you know, relationships can fall off of the rails pretty easily, but they can also be repaired very easily just through a simple conversation. And you don't always have time for that. And so I think like I would be surprised, but to echo your final thing, like I would do it.
Okay, let's get to that. Let's actually get to that part of it. Just in 1 second, I did want to say, you know, the validity of this one coming from Sam Amick of The Athletic and Tony Jones. And, you know, I think we can say there is, in fact, interest in Zach LaVine from the Denver Nuggets in one way or another. I don't think this is just smoke, right? So we even saw Zach Lowe chiming in on this one. I mean, I think we can categorize this as a real discussion that has been had. To Wynn's point, is a discussion that's currently being had.
Here's the other thing on the timeline and the timing of this stuff. Like, this is probably something that they really talked about a little bit ago, and now it's coming to the surface, like I said. Also, with this 3-game win streak, and you know, they had the 5-game win streak earlier in the year, then they won one, lost one, won one, lost one for what felt like a month.
Yep.
It's always more peaks and valleys with us and the fan base. And I will say, I think more smooth sailing within the organization.
Yeah.
Like, I think they have a good feeling about if they have the team or not. And I don't know if that changes based on a 3-game win streak. Like, I don't know if Nuggets rattle off a 3 or 4-game win streak. I don't know how much that changes a team's thinking about, do we have the team or not? It changes my opinion.
Yep.
Like, I think they might. I'm closer to thinking they might have the team now than from where I was after that Wizards loss. I don't know if teams think like that. I just think they're more even keel than us when it comes to that stuff. They think about things differently. They don't ride the vibes as much. They either think they have it or they don't. So that's the other thing I take into account here. I don't know how much a win streak like they're on right now changes their calculus in trade talks. I don't know if it makes them want to do a deal less. I would think they probably have about the same appetite to do one now as they did before the win streak.
What I hope, though, man, because it does change my opinion, and not just because not just because they won 3 games in a row, but because this is a group that's looked not just good but great together in the past, and I'll admit it's the past, but also just the way those games went, and they didn't they squeaked by the Kings. They beat the Clippers by 22. They beat the Hawks by 30. So it's not, and I'm not saying definitively now they're out of the woods, but to me, what my hope is just, I no longer feel like they need a shakeup trade just for the sake of a shakeup trade.
Yep.
If you feel like you've identified a trade that makes this team better, that's a different conversation to me. But just this idea of it's time to do one because this season is futile. I think that's a little overstated at times, that particular angle.
That's incredibly overstated. Are you kidding?
I do want to hear your thoughts on it. Let's do it on the other side of the break.
Oh, man. Okay. Shout out to our friends over at Verizon. I'm a Verizon guy.
Me too.
All know that. Never switched up. Never been with anybody else. I'm Verizon
right now.
Till the day I die.
A Verizon monogamist.
That's what I am, man. You can switch to Verizon right now. The holidays are coming up. If you need a last-second Christmas gift or Hanukkah gift, you can get a $200 Verizon gift card when you switch and purchase a select
We're
phone
doing the Verizon read right now. So
unlimited plan.
I just wanted to show everyone that the Verizon service works. We're on the podcast.
Good connection. You can join the 5G network.
Great connection.
Make that power your day. Verizon, they let you trade in any phone in any condition, guaranteed for a great deal on a new one with the ultimate unlimited plan and a phone trade-in from Apple, Samsung, or Google. You can switch now to Verizon, get a $200 gift card that's only at Verizon. $200 Verizon gift card sent within 8 weeks, requires device payment purchase, minimum retail price of $799.99, and poured in with new smartphone line on postpaid Unlimited Plus or Unlimited Ultimate plan required. Switch to Verizon now. Holiday season, perfect time to do it. You can get that $200 Verizon gift card when you do.
Let's talk about Toyota. Harrison, it's your turn to do the bit now. Crash a Toyota into the studio to show everyone with that all-wheel drive.
Just to show how tough they are.
Great safety
We're on the second
ratings.
floor.
Yeah.
We're on the second floor. That is impressive.
All jokes
Mezzanine.
aside.
No, we're not actually the mezzanine
This is
anymore.
the second floor, yeah.
Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA for generations. Toyota's built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. You've heard that part of the read. You know that there's the all-new 2024 Tacoma, the return of the iconic 2024 Land Cruiser. Most importantly, there's trucks, there's SUVs, got a lot of options with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, and they also have low or zero-emission vehicles, really no matter what kind of Coloradan you are, and we all know that today, there are many different types of Coloradans.
Yes, they're all welcome as well.
They're all welcome, and they all belong behind the wheel of a Toyota. So do yourself a favor, visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe in Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR. Welcome back into the DNBA show presented by Bet365. And when we left off, I had just cut off D-Line, who seemed to have a passionate take here about the notion of just a shakeup trade for the sake of a shakeup.
Oh, I thought you were going to say sorry for interrupting me.
I'll wait for that.
I'll wait for that.
You know what? I formally apologize, and I would love to hear what you have to say.
While I'm talking, if you could email that to me, I'm going to need it to be documented.
I need that in writing.
They absolutely do not need to shake up for the sense of shaking up, unless there's something coming from Michael Porter Jr.'s side, or something where a player is expressing a desire to leave. If the question is, are the Denver Nuggets good enough to win the title as currently constructed? I believe strongly yes is the answer.
I would agree. I think there's a chance for sure.
There's a chance.
I believe that they are built in such a way that is counter to the current thinking of the NBA in a way that can actually be powerful and disruptive and cut through a lot of the strategy that's being employed. If and only if they can defend and they can, find the magic that, like, they already have the magic with the starters. To me, Russell Westbrook is a better version of Bruce Brown. And then, like, what are we missing from the title run that time? Just like what?
KCP.
But KCP to me is not Like we're not seeing the drop off in the starters that we saw, with missing KCP. Obviously, it's different.
Sure,
offense is a little bit better, defense is a little bit worse, but at the end of the day, the difference is the same. It's like what minus or plus 13, which is huge. They absolutely have the players to do it. Like I would, but listen, man, like I'm a big believer in Zach LaVine. I always have been. I years ago had resigned myself to the idea that we should trade Jamal Murray for Zach LaVine because I just think he's really dynamic and he's buried in Chicago in a way that it's really hard for anyone to look good for a long period of time in Chicago because of how bad the team has been.
Yeah. Terrible vibes.
But like Zach LaVine to me is like not that different from MPJ structurally. He's a big, tall, skinny guy. The different being is that he's way more athletic for reasons that are not Michael Porter Jr.'s fault. And he is a playmaker in that he can create for himself, which is something that Michael Porter Jr. is not able to do. They both surprisingly, Zach LaVine is out shooting Michael Porter Jr. from three.
LaVine isn't having a career year in some ways.
He absolutely is. And to me, it's like, it would have to be an understanding if he came here that he would be the third option behind obviously Jokic and Jamal. But like, I think that he could be more integrated in than MPJ is because of the ability to put the ball on the floor.
He is a ball handler. It's a really good point. Up now for those watching on YouTube, we have the side-by-side comparison here of Zach LaVine and Michael Porter Jr. this season. It'd be really tough podcast listening for me to just read it off, but if you're watching, it's there. But of course, the thing to keep in mind here, Harrison, is Michael Porter Jr. has enjoyed playing in a Jokic-led offense, whereas Zach LaVine has been in whatever Chicago is doing.
Yeah, and I think people do underrate how different of a style you play when you're teammates with Nikola Jokic. That will take some time to get used to. And you can talk about the benefits and the drawbacks, positives, negatives from making a big in-season trade. Doesn't feel like they ever work out that same year.
Right.
That's kind of just how I think based on not doing a ton of research. It doesn't feel like they work, the huge mid-season acquisition. That being said, though, just thinking about Zach LaVine in Denver, he would be incredible. Zach LaVine, I think, is underrated right now. He's an incredible offensive player, elite shooter, elite athlete, elite scorer. He can do everything on the offensive end of the floor. Defense, I don't think you're losing a lot if you make that swap, except the big thing. You're losing a lot of length. And that's been an identity of the Nuggets. It's been part of their DNA. How big they are in the front line was a huge reason. And I'm just talking Porter, Gordon, Jokic, that trio, the length there was a huge reason why they won the championship. Mm-hmm. Their rebounding would suffer for sure. And we can, talk about more of what, that swap would look like. But just LaVine on the Nuggets, offensively, they would be even more unstoppable than they are now. And I think a big reason why is because Zach LaVine can create off the dribble and he can do things with the ball that Michael Porter can't. And my final point is that I think if the Nuggets are really looking hard at Zach LaVine, it might say less about Michael Porter and it might say more about Jamal Murray.
Going forward?
Just this year.
Just even this year.
And maybe even going forward. Because I think if the Nuggets were to go for Zach LaVine, I believe it signals that they don't have a lot of trust that Jamal Murray can be Jamal Murray again.
Because if he can, then you probably don't feel some sense of urgency just to bring LaVine in for Porter.
And really just the type of player Zach LaVine is. He's a ball handler. He's a guard. The ball is in his hands. He will create off the dribble. And that's what they rely on Jamal Murray for a lot, especially in the playoffs. So if they're really pursuing this deal, my other reaction is just they have a little less faith in Jamal Murray to return to form in the playoffs.
I interpret this as they need better stagger options.
This is a great take, a great point.
Because MPJ is great, but like he doesn't really, and neither does Jamal. Neither of them really raised the level of the bench for whatever reason. MPJ because he's a little bit more reliant on getting the ball than he is creating. Mm-hmm. But like I don't know, Russell Westbrook and Zach LaVine together, like he could easily be staggered. And that to me is a much more dynamic sort of a bridge lineup that then could take advantage of bench units.
Yeah, you can even play Russ with the starters more and Russ with the bench less.
It's to me, it's like I just look at it. It's just 1-to-1. I'm like, MPJ is incredible. I love MPJ. I would never get rid of MPJ, but like, man. This is, as we hear from everybody all the time, like Jokic's window is finite and it is not opening further and further. It is just like everybody else. Everything is closing all the time.
So, okay, let me ask you guys a question then from that line of thinking. You make a trade for Porter for Zach LaVine this year. You make that trade this year. Are you more or less likely to win the next available title, this year's title?
I think it's about the same.
You think it's about the same?
I think this would be a pretty lateral move. I think you would get better in some areas. I think you'd get worse in some areas. Overall, my feeling on it is it'd be kind of the same.
I do wonder if, even though you'd lose some size, if you'd actually pick up more lineup versatility in the end because you have a guy who can put the ball on the floor. The other thing to talk about, though, is availability. Like, somehow Porter clears. Like, somehow this is a 3 checks in Porter's department.
It's crazy.
Kind of like Zach LaVine.
It's crazy.
Okay, he was an all-star in 2022 season.
2 years ago.
He played 67 games that year, started 67. Not horrible. Went up to 77 the next year, which is nice. And then the last 2 years, 25 games played. Of course, this year's young, 23 games played. He there was a stretch there for about 4 years where he couldn't really clear 70 games played. He did it and then immediately, took a step back last year. So that's just one thing to consider, is that somehow, some way, Porter is I think a maybe better availability option or less of a risk in that department.
Yeah. I just go back to what the Nuggets would look like on offense with Zach LaVine, and it's a scary thought. Scary for whatever defense they'll go up against. Like, they would be so dynamic, so dangerous, man. Jamal Murray, Zach LaVine, and Nikola Jokic on the floor at the same time. It would just be a different like type of threat than they've had in the era. They haven't had somebody who can score off the dribble like Zach LaVine next to Jamal Murray and Joker.
Imagine this. Imagine Russell Westbrook, Jamal Murray, Zach LaVine, Nikola Jokic, and Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
How about, by the way, Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon dunk contest foes?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I might have to clear this trade with AG beforehand.
But imagine, listen, man, like that's for the spacing crowd. That's a lot of spacing.
Yeah.
I'm super worried about the length, though. 6'5" at the 3 is small.
Not really. I mean,
it's really small.
6'10" for the 3. Who's 6'10" and above at the 3?
Well, I'm not saying MPJ is way big for the 3,
he's much bigger than you need.
But Zach LaVine's super small for the 3.
Yeah.
One thing to talk to, there's also a larger discussion about how well Porter actually utilizes his size.
That's what I mean. It's like it's not like he's just taller, but he's not like
he grabs some rebounds. Yes. He grabs 7 rebounds a game because he's tall and he jumps and he goes for him. He's not great at boxing out. He does not box guys out very well. So that's part of it. That said, I do think this year we are seeing more than ever of.
Hold on, Mikal Bridges is 6'6". He's 1 inch taller than Zach LaVine.
Mikal Bridges is only 6'6".
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not. There's this idea like
extraterrestrial length, right?
But Zach LaVine is big. Like he plays point guard, so you don't think of him as tall. He's huge, and he is incredible. Like his leaping ability. Obviously, I don't know if you remember. He had a terrible injury at a certain point. Like it was either his knee or one of those. I
think injuries. It was ACL.
Yeah, it was like one of those injuries you never want for a leaper. But he has actually recovered quite nicely, and he's maybe like the thunderous dunk isn't part of his everyday arsenal, but like he somehow supplanted it with shooting.
He's an incredible athlete, top 1% athlete.
This is a thing where it's like I wouldn't do this like necessarily, but like this is something you have to consider because there are real benefits here, and
also the bump players get from playing with Joker.
It's insane.
Zach LaVine already looks incredible in the Bull system.
This is the hardest thing to figure out.
He already looks incredible playing next to like DeMar DeRozan, who's not in Chicago anymore, but was, and Vucevic, and You know, like all these dudes that have come through that Chicago organization.
It's almost this Aaron Gordon.
How he would look in the Nuggets system, man.
It's almost this Aaron Gordon question, right? Of, is it that he doesn't know how to play winning basketball, or is it that he doesn't benefit at all by being surrounded by winning players? And if you put him in next to Jokic, you could just assume he'd look even better. And I think there's a lot to that.
He is in an absolute AG role currently, where he is oftentimes looked at as the best player on the team, and he's miscast because he's great, but he's not that. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like he could very easily come and take on a secondary, tertiary role and just absolutely shine because, you know, all of Chicago isn't counting on you to, you know, beat the Bucks finally.
Yeah. I will say the other side of that, though, and this is something I've always thought about, and I thought about with Aaron Gordon. Is he a winner? Is he a winning basketball guy? Is he going to make the right play? And Aaron Gordon, the Nuggets were spot on with their assessment and their, you know, evaluation of that. He was that guy. He will make the winning play. He doesn't care about stats. He just cares about getting wins. Is Zach LaVine that guy? I don't know.
I don't know either.
But the Nuggets have to know that if they're going to trade for him.
There are other options, guys, we got to talk about as well, and we will do that on the other side.
Guys, if you are looking for the best car auto dispensary out there, Live Well is your go-to. They have 25 convenient Colorado locations with premium selections and expert services that await you. They have the most knowledgeable and supportive staff around. You walk into a Live Well, you're going to get, you know, a warm welcome. They're going to point you in the right direction. Whatever you're looking for, they will help you get it. Live Well Cannabis Store. They strive to make cannabis accessible to all because they do believe everyone deserves to live well. They also offer a price match guarantee. So you can ensure that you're getting the best value by matching local competitors' prices on eligible products. You can go to livewell.com to reserve your product, then stop in-store to pick it up. And when you do go in-store, mention the code DNVR25.
Do it.
Get 25% off one regular priced item.
That can be a bulk item. And
one regular priced item.
I've done this.
It has to be. Restrictions do apply, but mention the code DNVR25 in store. Remember, that's got to be in store. You can shop online, but pick up in store and use that code DNVR25 when you get there. 25% off one regular priced item. Restrictions apply. They have 25 convenient Colorado locations.
That's convenient. That is convenient.
I was at my convenient location recently. On my way out, I was just kind of yelling at strangers. Use code DNVR25. 25% off, man. Just trying to help the people out.
Great deal.
Game Time's trying to help the people, getting the best seats at the best events for the best prices, even at the last minute. I have used Game Time for this very purpose. One of my favorite things about living in Denver is it is a much more reasonably sized city, in my opinion, than some of the megatropolises of the U.S.
Sure.
But you also still have major city entertainment. If you like comedy, if you like music, if you like sports, all your favorite acts come through. It's MVP City. There are tons of events that you want to have your butt in the seat for, and you can with Game Time, even when you forgot to plan ahead. Is there a game tonight? Is your buddy in town? Did it just occur to you? Fire up the Game Time app, use the Game Time Picks app, and get yourself a great price on a great seat at the last second. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, fellas?
Game time!
That's right. Just checking if you're paying attention. Kale, I also threw you just a little short excerpt from that Athletic article. Of course, we're not going to post their paywalled article without their permission, but it's just a tiny little excerpt for everyone here. Discussions on the following players: Chicago's Zach LaVine, which we've just discussed, Washington's Jordan Poole, Utah's Jordan Clarkson, Atlanta's DeAndre Hunter, Brooklyn's Cam Johnson, and Washington's Jonas Valanciunas. When do any of these names jump out at you besides LaVine, and why?
Yeah, Jordan Poole definitely jumps out at me.
As in jumping out of the pool?
Yeah, like I almost jumped out of this building onto Colfax.
That was good.
I mean, if they trade for Jordan Poole, I'll probably quit the podcast.
Cool. All right.
So if anybody wants to be on this show, Hit up
What if Jordan
Brendan
Poole wants to be
Vogt.
on this show?
He can have
We'll call
this
it the
chair
pool
right
party,
here.
dude. This show's gonna skyrocket. If
You're
I'm
probably already thinking of the shirt. I
dude,
know.
the pool party. Hell yeah, dude.
Just Harrison on the other side of the
Just
fence.
pouting. Meh.
My God,
jobless and
Jordan
angry.
Poole would be disastrous. I mean, if the Nuggets are thinking about that, man, we should just cash out right now.
Well,
Does anyone feel differently before we spend too much time on Jordan
so
Poole?
can we bring these names up again? Okay, they're
Yeah,
looking
sure.
for scorers. This is the. If you ever see anybody complaining about the Denver Nuggets' shortcomings in the front office, is that they're not surrounding Nikola Jokic with enough prolific scorer.
It's what they want to do now.
There are names on here. Okay, I like Zach LaVine. I like Jordan Clarkson. I don't know what role he would necessarily fill, but that guy is actually a great basketball
Off
player.
the bench spark, but doesn't feel like Denver doesn't necessarily have
Cam
those trades.
Johnson is interesting, but I don't. He's a little soft to me, if I'm being real. Like, I would not see him as a good replacement for MPJ at all.
We'll
Like,
talk more Cam later in the show.
Yeah, he's just like another
specifically.
shooter.
Yeah.
So I mean, not to me. It's like if you can get Zach LaVine, I'm not mad. It's like here's my list of guys that you could trade MPJ for and get a return, and I would feel okay with.
Okay.
Zach LaVine,
Okay.
Bogdan Bogdanovic, not Boyan.
Bogdan
Bogdanovic.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many.
Short
others.
list.
I am. Listen, man. I firmly believe that the Nuggets have the team.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to. I'm listening to this, and I just, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you never know the whole story.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is pressure coming from that kid. Like maybe they're being forced a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like if either of those two players came back, I'd be like, all right, I can see it. I can see it working.
Some of these, as you get past Jordan Poole, which I think we're all out on, just to be clear.
We're out of the
You
pool.
better be out on it.
I am
Whoa! Threats?
Yeah, I'm threatening you right
You know
now.
what that is though?
That's a threat.
That's the GM. That's like, okay, this guy's
Clip that.
This guy's
Threat.
kicked our ass enough times that we got to put him on the list. That's what that is. But then the rest of these names seem like smaller moves, which I
Yeah.
find confusing because
Yeah.
it doesn't really feel like Denver has smaller moves in their back pocket.
Well,
Jordan Clarkson, DeAndre Hunter, that one seems incomplete. Jonas Valanciunas kind of seems like that comes
some
out
of this is like you wonder if they're trying to cobble together a 3-team trade. If it's like you don't know exactly what these are, just like maybe Cal's like, I just want to talk to you with some of your guys.
Well, here's the other reason those guys might be getting brought up is because you can go two ways if you really are thinking about dealing Michael Porter. You can deal him for another guy that's around his level, like a Zach LaVine, a Jimmy Butler. You can go that route, or you can go the route where let's send him to Brooklyn and let's get back 3 rotation players.
Kale, can you pull up? We have a tweet it's in the Cam Johnson and Boyan kind of section there.
To both keep the starting lineup elite and also bolster the bench. So that's probably the 2 different pathways they could go. And maybe that's why you're seeing
Some of these names.
the Cam Johnsons of the world, the DeAndre Hunters of the world, the Jordan Clarksons of the world, because that might be the marquee player that you get back in one of those packages. But those type of deals would be for multiple guys.
So here's one example. Now, this tweet comes to us from Evan Sidery, who, full disclosure, I don't have on my breaking news list. I'm not going to sit here and say this is BS. I don't know what Evan has or hasn't heard.
Probably.
But just for what it's worth, this isn't coming from Shams. But I did think it was an interesting thought experiment at the very least. And we did see Cam Johnson's name in the Athletic report. So here we go. A potential trade between the Nuggets and the Nets featuring Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. And in the same deal, perhaps getting back Dorian Finney-Smith or Boyan Bogdanovic. So, Win, this is a good example of what you were just talking about, trying to approximately fill Porter's role while adding depth.
Right. If you just take that trade, Michael Porter for like those 3 guys. Cam Johnson can slide to the starting lineup. He can give you everything as a shooter Michael Porter does. Again, you lose the things that you would lose in the Zach LaVine trade. You lose the rebounding. You lose some of the length, although Cam Johnson is like 6'8", but still doesn't play with the same type of length that Porter does. He's way more perimeter oriented. And then, you get Finney-Smith off the bench. You get maybe Deron Sharp off the bench at backup center. That type of deal is honestly...
Is that more intriguing to you?
Obviously, everything still hinges on Jamal Murray. I think no matter what trade you make.
Of course.
But if you can get off the 3 max contract thing and go from 7 real guys to 9 real guys in the process, I'm intrigued. I'm not saying for certain which deal I like more, but I'm intrigued at that path.
Yeah, I think.
Can I give you some numbers real quick?
Yeah.
Have you seen Cam Johnson shoot?
He can shoot.
He can shoot the cover off the ball, and I think
Quick release. Like
he's actually,
man.
I think, a decent right now at this stage, a decent comp for Porter. I mean, I think Porter right now is actually a little better, but let's just talk about his numbers. Trying to paint the picture: 18.6 points per game from Cam Johnson with the Brooklyn Nets, 4.2 rebounds, so a drop off there, 3 assists. 48%.
No drop
field,
off there.
48%.
43.3% from 3, which is actually about 5 percentage points higher than Mike right now. I actually don't know what his volume looks like. Did you see that really
Probably
quick?
more.
Dude, 7.5 attempts per game, 43%. That's elite shooting. That's really, really, really good.
Absolutely elite.
And it is a guy that you're talking about not necessarily needing to reinvent your identity. Does he need high usage? Does he need the ball? He can. If you're just trying to put Porter in the corner, you can put Cameron Johnson in the corner. So I think maybe this option in terms of adding depth is more intriguing to some than just what feels more like a wild card move in adding LaVine, just like a swing for the fences. Is that maybe a fair way to put it?
Yeah. This is where a lot of the basketball's not played on paper comes into it. Like I really am not in favor of just being like, well, moneyballing it and saying like, there's only 5 guys on the court at any given time. Like the relationships matter quite a bit. But we did see Aaron Gordon come in and be incredibly impactful immediately.
Right. And maybe the Nuggets win the championship that year.
But if Jamal doesn't get hurt
and the midseason big trade does work out.
It's absolutely possible. But I don't know, man. It's tough. This is a tough one because now you're worried about, you just live in a world where we won. We know for a fact these players are good enough to win. We don't know, however, what the total picture of the team looks like. But man, I'm encouraged by the direction right now. This to me just feels like last year. This to me feels not that dissimilar to the year before, where it just comes out, everyone's scuffling, everyone's out on the Nuggets, they suck. We got to trade Murray, we got to trade MPJ, and then they just catch fire and then they go. And I kind of think we're there. I kind of think we are in the midst of a fire cut.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat is very furious that we haven't mentioned Cam Johnson's poor performance in the finals as well. So there you go. I'll just acknowledge it. I'm not
5 years ago.
Yeah, this is a long time ago.
He was like a rookie.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm not that bullish on making a trade just to make one. I'm really not.
No.
I do think. Look, the Nuggets, I think right now are comfortably worse than they were when they won the title. I also think they're comfortably better than the consensus is on them right now.
For sure.
At least those 5 guys. And I'm not saying this is ideal. I'm not saying everyone wants to go forward this way. But I do think people have forgotten the vibes were better. But what the on-the-court stuff looked like through 24 games the title year, it was 6-7 real guys. We were not loving we were not loving
Should we
the
just
bench.
go through every year?
I was just going to say.
Yeah.
And jot out how many real guys we had every single year. Let's start in 2015.
But hold on. This is my real take, or my real feeling on this is that you cannot cut out top-level talent. You have to replace top-level talent with top-level talent. Because
it's a strong take.
At the end of the year, at the end of the day, at the end of the whatever you want,
that's what it comes down
there's
to.
5 guys on the court, and that you can play them for a long time. You can. It's like it really comes down to the starters. Who has the best? Who has the best top player, and who probably has the best top 3 players? Generally gets the job done. You fill in the back, you backfill it to make your bench better, but you sacrifice top-level talent. You get more wins in the regular season, but you are not in a better position when the playoffs come. And so you have to be really careful with that. And so that's why I think that Zach LaVine is at least, I don't think
comparable.
If it's at worst a lateral move, I believe. And at best, you're getting another
all-star caliber player.
You're getting a dynamic that you don't have with the starting unit that can be powerful and can add also to the bench. So that's why that's the only move outside of Bogdan that I would make.
Let's hit a break. There's one more rumor we want to discuss on the other side, and it is I will quit the podcast rumor. I'm very excited to get to that.
We should all have one of these.
Pritchard?
Yeah, Peyton Pritchard. Although, have you seen the way he's playing? All right, let's hit a break.
Guys, it is Miller time here on the DNVR Nuggets podcast.
Bro, it's absolutely Miller time here today.
We're past Miller time today.
Dude, we're fucking, it's Christmas keg time is what it is.
Dude, it is, man. I got that itch drinking those Christmas beers.
I brought a six-pack home.
Miller
Does anyone
Lite,
want
they
this?
keep it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's the best light beer out there. I mean, there are a lot of light beers out there. There are a lot of imitators. Miller Lite is the original, and it's the best. They are a beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer. Less filling, only 96 calories, the original light beer since 1975. Since 1975. Times changed, but you can always enjoy the great taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. You don't even have to leave your house. Delivered right to your door. MillerLite.com/DNVR. MillerLite.com/DNVR. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.
How many per 500 to 600 ounces? Can we do that math?
I'm
going to need that
I'm
information.
not a mathematician, D-Line.
I'm going to need that information pretty quick. I'll tell you why later.
I took one math class in college.
I took a class in college for artists that was
Math
called
class?
Math in Society.
For artists. It was just like, you guys should know that
It
this
wasn't
is
like
still a thing.
specifically for artists, but like it was for artists. It was like,
We had a math class called that. It was
It was
called,
called You Guys Should Learn Something.
It's like when it says 3.00
I'm not
on
kidding.
a gas station, that's $3 a gallon.
No, I'm not kidding. We had a whole section on how to fairly divide things.
Listen,
Mine was called abstract math, and I did take it in college because I was an art major.
you just got to make sure you guys are getting some education. You know what I mean?
We found out how if we had a whole bunch of Martian artifacts, how to more equitably distribute them amongst the Martian astronauts that gathered them.
Listen, you don't know for sure that won't come in handy. Bet365 is now an official partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. They're also our friends here at DNVR, and those who watch the pregame and the postgame shows know we turn to our friend Superstar Dev, who turns to our friends at Bet365 to hand out some pregame picks, ranging in levels of risk and fun and hilarity, all the way down to his locks. Again, you don't have to play with us; you sure can if you want to.
I want him to be like, all right, this one's for hilarity.
This one's for. I feel like we've done it. We've done bets for hilarity
This is
for
for the
sure.
vibe.
And then once you've signed up with Bet365, keep your eyes peeled for their early payout offer. You're a win if your team goes up by 20 points, even if they ultimately blow that lead and then win the game anyway. Denver Nuggets, you still would have won once they won up by 20. That applies to your parlays as well. Sick time for my computer to freeze. Download the Bet365 app now and use code DNVR365 when you sign up. Deposit $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up, use the code DNVR365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 or more. Get $150 in bonus bets, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. You have to be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And fellas, as we've gone over all the potential options for MPJ, ranging in degree of I think swing, right? To how valid is it? How possible is it? Here's one for you.
Is this your jumping off the roof?
This is my jump off the roof trade
right.
idea.
I'm going to listen to this one close.
And this one comes
This
to us.
is a
Calvin, we've got word.
this is what we like to call in the industry a two-banger.
Yeah. This is Eric going, please. I mean, it's not that big a roof. I'd be okay.
You could survive.
Be a dramatic exit
3
from the
stories?
podcast.
And also, it's like when a bug falls off, it's like doesn't have enough body weight to crush itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm just short. I'm not light. I have been putting weight on. All right, this rumor comes to us from New York. Ian Begley, actually, here telling us that regarding the Athletic report on the Nuggets search for a scorer, I've heard Brandon Ingram is another player.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm
going
to pack it in two. Guys, it's been real.
For what it's worth, the clearest way to make a trade for Brandon Ingram would be Michael Porter Jr. I just can't express enough how much I don't want this to happen. There is, I think,
I'm also jumping off the roof.
A 3-bagger?
Yeah.
Where's that Eric clip of him saying he'll walk into traffic?
Yeah,
That's how
we
I feel
came
about
into
that.
this together. We'll go out together.
We'll go out together. Yeah, exactly.
We did tweet that like yesterday.
In all seriousness, there is a I actually think interesting kind of debate online right now within the Nuggets fandom of some people are just are far more bullish on like a cutthroat approach right now and just getting Jokic the second ring. Some people a little more of a sentimental kind of approach to rooting for their team.
It's all valid.
And it's all valid. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think there's a right way to do it. With regards to the sentimentality point, and I feel free to roll your eyes if that's how you feel. But regards to that part of it, to me, this is the ultimate line in the sand of just trading Porter, regardless of whether it makes the team better, would mark to me truly the end of a certain era, the end of a soulful operation that yielded a title, the first ever title in Nuggets history. And if it were for Brandon Ingram, to me, that would just feel really, really, really deflated.
Brother, but listen, if last year.
What if he's better though? God.
If last year we were like, what if we trade, I don't know, anyone for Russell Westbrook? I'd be like, I'm jumping off the roof. This is unacceptable. I can't handle this.
I know.
Brandon Ingram has the worst face, not structurally, emotionally.
Okay,
in the NBA. I have the worst face structurally.
Brandon Ingram is
NBA.
like a bottom 10
body language
guy in
His
the NBA.
body language is
Negative body language Hall of Fame.
Everyone on the Pelicans has a body image issue. Zion, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, they all got problems down there. But the point is that
Down where?
What are
Louisiana.
you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
It's in Nolens. Down in Nolens.
I really didn't think that's what you meant.
Yeah, they're like, Zion can't stay in shape. Brandon Ingram cannot smile.
Yeah.
There's something like that's rotten in the water down there. I think it's just alcohol. But point being is that like he's actually very good. Like he gets selected to USA basketball teams, which is not nothing.
He could score off the bench. Hey, look, he could score off the bench.
AG is not getting invited. Michael Porter Jr. is not getting invited.
Yeah.
A lot of
he
these
could score off the bench.
My man has incredibly long arms, which to me is like, and big hands. And those are the two things that God arms you with if he wants you to be a basketball player. He just has to be in the right situation. I'm with you. Like this is not a player I would ever target, but I certainly don't share the same level of disdain for him that I think that many on this podcast and in the Nuggets world do. Because I saw him look like kind of a killer a few postseasons ago when it was he and who else was it?
When he catches fire, he looks like a stud.
A stud.
Truly. And honestly, right now he could come in and say, okay, it's non-Jokic minutes.
Yep.
Who do you want to play, Porter or Ingram? I would say Ingram. And the non-Jokic minutes.
Can Brandon Ingram anchor a bench unit?
No.
Maybe.
I think he's a better
He's
option
got a way
than
better
Myers.
chance to do it than Michael Porter does right now. Michael Porter, we know, can't.
Right.
Like, he just can't right now.
That's the argument for Brandon Ingram. That said, I think the argument stops there.
I mean, he's good. He is very good. And I think that we would very quickly get over our feelings of negativity about him.
Well, we'd be dead.
That's the point.
Well,
how do you don't change your feelings when you don't have any? You know what I mean? But yeah, it'd be a tough one.
The other thing with this deal,
it'd be a real tough one.
You're letting New Orleans off the hook. They don't want Brandon Ingram.
I know.
They've been trying to get rid of him for years.
Well,
and you're just going to walk in there and say, David Griffin.
I'll tell you though, the difference.
Here's a Christmas
The
present.
difference with a lot of these is you are taking guys out of the head guy on these teams. Like, very miscast for Zach LaVine, very miscast for Brandon Ingram. Asked to carry teams where they are not even remotely that kind of player. They both have talent. They just need to be recontextualized, similar to Aaron Gordon in my mind. And who better than Nikola Jokic to do that? So I don't know. Like, again, I'm not trading anybody unless I feel like it has to from inside pressure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we did a good job today of trying to talk honestly about what it would all look like.
I was lying the whole time.
No, I mean, when I say honestly, I am a big Porter guy. And I didn't want to just come on this and do an hour of I'm not trading him, I'm not trading him. These are conversations that are all part of it. But I do think some of these trades are more appealing than others for other reasons. Lastly, I think Wynn's point at the start of the show, I think there is something to that. It is possible that these are kind of crystallized reports on info that was maybe hotter 2 weeks ago, But look, I'm not a newsbreaker. I'm not going to sit here and vet their news breaking. This is what's out there. And obviously, I think the Nuggets have been closer to considering a shakeup than they have in some time.
So they could be, this time next week, they could be on a 6-game winning streak.
Easily.
Right now, they're on a 3-game winning streak. Their next 2 games at Portland, that will be a win. At
God, it better
Brandon Ingram and the Pelicans on December 22nd.
What if Brandon Ingram cooks us?
I'm very prepared for that.
I'm gonna go unlock the fire
Dude,
door.
Are we gonna get
cooked
by Jeremy Grant and then
this is gonna get clipped when Brandon Ingram scores 28 points efficiently. This is getting clipped,
and then they come home to play the Suns.
Oh my God!
Before and then Christmas Day at Phoenix.
Dude, we are at the precipice of something very magical or just devastating.
Right. Yeah, I know.
So
man.
what I'm getting at is, I know I said earlier that teams, I don't think they take into account as much as we do the momentum, the vibes, riding a 3-game winning streak when you're talking trades. Like, I think they're more just, we either have the team or we don't, and a 3-game winning streak isn't going to change that. I do wonder if a 6-game winning streak changes it.
It does.
I got to think it changes it, obviously for us, but it's got to change it a little bit for the team.
I mean, aren't they 2.5 games out of the second seed?
Yes.
How many teams in the West right now would you pick over the Nuggets to beat the Nuggets in a playoff series?
None.
In a playoff series right now, I don't think Denver's there yet. But I think they can
who would
be
you
there.
pick to
I think
beat
they
them?
can be there.
Would you pick the Thunder to beat them?
Wrecked last night.
I would pick the Nuggets over the Thunder.
Me too. They got wrecked. They show that you find out about teams when they are in pressure situations.
No,
yeah, like the
Thunder,
finals of the NBA Cup.
But
I'm serious.
I'm. It's a half joke, but it's true. They crumbled mightily in the playoffs last year, and they were given another opportunity to show that they'd grown, and they crumbled even more.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe something. Look, I don't know. I'll say this: that if it were tomorrow, I actually wouldn't feel great. Like Dallas and Memphis could definitely beat them.
I wouldn't feel great either.
But it's not tomorrow.
But I would still pick the Nuggets.
It's
Murray's
not tomorrow.
back, dude.
It's not tomorrow. And I think a bigger part of the conversation is, are we sure they won't be there by game 82? Again, this is noisy, and there have been real downs this year. They are
is noisy.
2.5 games out of the second seed, and so just at time, I just think at times the nadirs have been louder.
There we go.
They've been loud. The loudness of them have maybe
echoing off the bottom of the nadir
made it hard to like. I think they're comfortably worse than they won the title. I think they're comfortably better than the consensus thinks they are right now. I think the truth is in the middle somewhere.
Let's all state.
Real quick, the chat's gonna have an aneurysm if we don't at least mention Bogdan.
Oh,
yeah,
Bogdan?
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Bogdan, I don't like nearly as much as Bojan.
No, you like the other way around.
Oh, excuse me. Bojan, I don't like nearly as much as Bogdan.
Like Bogdan.
Yeah.
Bogdan, I like Bogey. But I think they're both bogey. It's very confusing. I want the one with the young, lush head of hair, not the balding one.
I'm with you.
Anybody that's balding sucks.
But also,
I'll go on the record.
There's no reports that the Hawks have any interest in trading him. So because he's very good.
Well, that's more often than not. That's how these things happen. Although I will say, like sometimes I do wonder if some of these things are put out to just gauge public reaction to. I don't doubt that for a second that that front offices look at it like that a little bit.
I'm on the trade machine as we speak.
But I'll tell you, like truthfully, my true feelings, like not my hype guy, whatever. Like and just to be clear, I always give my exact true feelings on the show. I don't know how else to be. I have no one tells me anything. No one confides in me. I have no information except for what you guys tell me from time to time. But like, I think that the Nuggets are back. I really think that Jamal Murray is in shape. The data backs this up. Like, he made his return last year almost to the day. And I just think that this, like I said on the show, like this is how long it takes to get in shape to play NBA basketball. It takes 20 games. That's what Nikola Jokic said specifically. Like Jamal coming back from injury, he's going to suck for 20 games. Jamal probably has played, how many games has he played? Has he played 20?
That's a good question. He's probably around
and I
20.
bet Luka's right around 20 games too. And magically he dropped 48.
I mean, look,
better.
I want to.
We're back.
I think Jamal needs to do it a few more times for me.
Back.
But I just don't
open your heart.
My heart is open. I don't I don't think it's accurate to just say it's futile this year. I don't.
No, it's not.
And so I do think, like, if you're making a trade, I hope it's within mind to increase your chances of winning a title.
Oh.
Not just something's got to give. Something's got to give.
Would you trade Michael Porter and Zeke Naji for DeAndre Hunter and Bogdanovich?
Yes. Absolutely.
No.
No.
But that probably doesn't surprise anyone.
I'd do that in a heartbeat.
I understand it. I understand that one. Hey, let's hit the super chats and let's get out of here, huh?
Fine. Where are we going?
I don't know. Illegal Pete's? Nash, Sweden, don't forget Wizards game easily. We need trades. Yeah.
I've forgotten Nash Sweden. I've erased it from my memory.
The thing is that there's a Wizards loss every year. It's usually in Atlanta or on the East Coast.
Well, there were 2 this year. It's also the Pelicans one is a big part of it.
We started the year getting our faces kicked. I mean, it just doesn't matter. This is what happens.
Malhai Singh, I would rather send MPJ and Zeke for Bogdan and Lance.
Nance?
Oh, Larry Nance.
Did he just combine his name?
Yeah. Unless he wants Lance Stevenson. He's probably available.
This one's from #shut up and take my money.
Who?
No wind, no Eric. Finals was fun. I got free stuff.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, because he went to the
was
NBA
at
Cup.
the NBA Cup in a
That's
luxury
right.
suite.
Oh, that is cool, actually.
That is cool.
MPJ traded to Bogdan and Larry Nance. Good for both teams. MPJ reunites with Trey. Bogdan teams up with Jokic. Everybody happy except for Vogt.
Guess how many games Jamal Murray has played?
23.
19.
Wow.
Love MPJ, but if we include Zeke in a trade for LaVine and get a playable bench player in return, that would be huge. I think there's something to that. Like the way Wynn framed it.
Yeah. If I'm Chicago, I want MPJ too.
Austin Ness. Another benefit of getting LaVine is potentially getting off Zeke without having to send out Brown, Payton, or Strother.
Guess how many games Luka
Or
Doncic has
first round
played this
pick.
year?
19.
20.
Oh, look at that. Josh Barnett from down under. No, Kale. Please don't forget this super chat. Was that a Cedric reference? I actually think it
Kale?
was. I think it was. First of all, well done. And don't forget this super chat, mate.
Wait, is Josh Barnett from Down Under another Cedric name this whole time?
Stop.
Dude, you know, like the was it cake craze of the internet?
Is it Cedric?
Post nut clarity. Traded Zeke.
Is it
Pickett
Cedric?
and
It might
Saric
be.
for Butler. Zeke, Pickett, and Saric for Butler. I mean, yeah, if you could do that, that'd be
Zeke,
awesome.
Pickett, and Sar. Why would they do that? They're like, oh.
And one time I made a pass at Meghan Markle.
Yeah. Trade me for Zach Lowe while you're
By the
at
way,
it.
how did you guys pick up on that? That the story. Oh, you weren't there.
Yeah, it was.
No, but I
He
saw
wasn't.
it. Get
The story
aggregated.
that
Rusilla.
Ryan
got
Rusilla
aggregated.
shared on stage
Yeah.
at the podcast we were at got totally aggregated.
I know. Yeah.
It was so great.
It's a great story.
More from Cedric. No, Harrison, you're wrong.
I am wrong.
We want someone good. Yeah, you shouldn't have said they want someone bad.
I know.
Please,
I'm
please,
sorry.
Please,
I'm
Cedric.
sorry.
Much respect and mutual admiration. What else do we got?
We're out.
Hey, thanks for hanging with us. We will be back tomorrow. No show Friday, yeah?
Let's just say for the record, do you make a trade?
Let's do it.
No, I keep riding it out.
Do you make a trade?
I'm with Wind. By the way, a trade, a Porter trade for one of these ones we've talked about. If you could fix the bench, I'd love it. But
I don't make a trade unless I have to.
Yeah, I'm riding it out to the deadline right now.
chat, we appreciate you riding it out with us. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Dip.